What's up everyone, this is Francis over here from PlayerEssence.com, and today I'm talking about Ratchet Clank for the PS4. This is a game based on the movie that's kind of a reimagining of the first title that came out for the PS2 way back when, and I have to say I enjoyed my playtime with this game. It controls very well, it looks good, but I will say one thing based on the game's graphics. Everybody talked about from the trailer, it's like, man, this is like CG, this is like Pixar quality. Well, let me tell you something right now. The demo that I played at E3 was not CG or Pixar quality. It looked like a super nice, highly polished PS3 game, to be honest, with some good textures. Now, don't get me wrong, the game's graphics look fantastic, but it definitely doesn't look as good as they showed in that trailer. But the game is not finished, and demo builds are usually built way beforehand, so it could ultimately end up looking as good as they showed off. But from what I've played, it did not look like that. But does that affect gameplay? Of course not. The gameplay is Ratchet Clank like you know and love, but there's one big caveat for me that hindered my enjoyment of the game, and that is the 30 frames per second that you can clearly feel. Most Ratchet Clank games, especially the last big one on the PS3, that was I think 2007, that one was 60 frames per second, and many of the PS2 ones were 60 frames per second for that nice added smoothness and basically stability that you would expect out of a Ratchet Clank game. This one, while it ran completely fine, there was no hitches, the 30 frames per second definitely felt a little bit slow to me. I would really like if they put this game to 60 frames per second and ditch the 1080p. I think Ratchet Clank's graphics do not need that level of detail. I personally feel that they do not need it. And in this E3 demo, it would have just been a lot better if the game was running at 60 frames per second. Just to give you guys a comparison, God of War, which is an action game, which many action games run at 60 frames per second, God of War 3 Remastered on PS4 runs that smooth, and you can feel it in the controls, in the jumps. It is a much better game because of it. But Ratchet Clank, since it's only 30 frames per second, definitely doesn't give you that feel that you would expect out of the Ratchet Clank universe. But as far as the controls go, as far as the gameplay goes, it's fun. It's exactly what you would expect out of a Ratchet Clank game. You press the square button to do your attacks. You have one of the shoulder buttons to do your shots. You can actually hold down one of the other ones and switch weapons. There's a variety of different guns and people to blast your way through. There's going to be the upgrades by collecting the nuts and bolts and all of that stuff that you loved about Ratchet Clank. So all of that is intact. The controls, as far as how it feels from jumping and everything, no hitches there, doesn't feel odd, it's nice and responsive. But once again, the 60 frames per second does cut into my enjoyment of the game. Overall, I think Ratchet Clank is a fantastic title, and I love the fact that Sony is bringing it back along with the movie to help push the franchise, because if this becomes big, we can definitely see more Ratchet Clank games in the future. Now, this game is coming out in spring of 2016 along with the movie, and it's going to be an MSRP of $39.99, so maybe that's the reason why the game isn't 60 frames per second. They just don't have the type of time to work on it, but that's okay. I still think people are going to go out there, pick up the game, watch the movie, and enjoy it, because it does control solid. It does look great. The level design is awesome. There's some really cool stuff, especially one of the train levels where you're going by and you're kind of shooting people and you're doing all sorts of stuff on top of there. And I absolutely love that about Ratchet Clank. I think the guns are fantastic. The upgrades are definitely interesting. And there's just going to be a ton of stuff to do in Ratchet Clank. So overall, I'm looking forward to it a lot, but there just are a few little things that I didn't like about it, especially with the frame rates. But other than that, it's the Ratchet Clank we all knew and loved. Alright, so that basically wraps it up for my preview of Ratchet Clank. If you like this video, please hit that like button, because it lets me know you guys want more E3 previews in the future. Also, hit that subscribe button while you're at it, because right here on PlayerEssence, you're going to get a variety of news on Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and everything E3. Thank you so much for watching this, guys, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.